the cloud.
Thanks.
Okay, so recording has started. Okay. We'll wait just a couple more minutes.
Yeah,
So
because
we
we
can
just
get
had so many enter. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they're coming right along.
There is. There we go. That is. Oh no.
Are you good?
Yeah, no, I was trying to move the transcript over so that it is on, but it won't go down further than right there. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all that's the place it is, unfortunately.
That's wild. Oh.
Welcome, everybody. We'll get started in just a second. I hope y'all are excited about learning about Rayyan.
Thanks, Prince. Thanks,
Oh.
Edwin.
And here's one of our last guests, I bet you, and then we can get ourselves going.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we hit the ground running?
Sure.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. My name is Cynthia Henry, and Jenny Jacobs is my colleague, and we'll be running this workshop covering the tool Rayyan. I think is how you're supposed to emphasize the second, Rayyan, but us in Texas sometimes we'll end up saying Rayyan. Just be aware of that, and know that this tool is spelled with two Y's. It's Rayyan. So if you needed to look that up. Okay, Jenny, away to you.
Okay, awesome. So let's get started. Let's do it. Okay, so just as an introductory, let's talk about an article that you guys will and us will be writing that we can use with Rayyan. So in an article, you have, of course, the introduction, the literature review, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, and references. So we're going to talk a little bit about each of these and specifically kind of talk about the difference between a literature review and a systematic review. So Rayyan can be used for both. It's usually used though in a systematic review, but you can use it in any way that you feel you can. So a literature review does a couple of things. It critiques and summarizes a whole body of literature. It draws conclusions about a topic, and it identifies gaps or inconsistencies within the literature. Usually literature reviews require a pretty focused research question. So you're trying to get something that's really focused and specific. And it shows that you have a command of the subject area and that you understand the problem that you're trying to write about. The literature review is really great because it brings the reader up to date with the current literature that's on that topic. So you definitely want to have something like that in your paper so that you're talking about what's been talked about on this topic and then how you're contributing to it. And of course, it justifies for future research in that area. So a systematic literature review is definitely more rigorous, and its well-defined method is described in detail. So when you think of a systematic literature review or a systematic review, you've got to think of, is it, can other people be able to follow the same steps that you did and be able to repeat your searches and your review. So it details the time frame within which the literature was selected, the methods used to evaluate and synthesize your findings of the primary research studies. And one thing to kind of help out with this is the PRISMA checklist. It's a good reference, and it's a checklist that helps you kind of understand what all should go in a systematic literature review. So I'm going to actually click on that. And it opened up, and of course, in the wrong place. So let me drag that over here.
And I dropped that link in the chat, so if anybody wants to follow along, feel free.
Yeah. So here's information about, of course, what we just kind of talked about, and then the steps in a literature review. And here is the PRISMA checklist. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to download automatically for us. Let's see where it's going to open, which screen. Okay, there we go. And so I'm going to zoom in here so that you guys can see. So basically what this is supposed to do is it's supposed to help you structure your systematic review, as well as inform you of what should or could be in your systematic review. So it has the title, the abstract, introduction, and then of course you go to the methods area. So why is this not letting me? Okay, there we go.
It's just slow.
Yeah, very slow. And then after the methods, of course, you have your results and your discussion. So the methods is where you're really going to talk about how you searched, what you searched, where you searched, when you searched. And so all of that is kind of shown here. And over here is where you can check it off saying that you did it, and then talk about where in your paper it's reported. So like for data collection, maybe, you know, you check it off and you say, oh, that's on page 3. So it's a really helpful checklist for people who are doing systematic reviews to use. And of course, again, that can be found in that link that Cynthia put in there, and then you just scroll down to PRISMA. And then there's a diagram as well that kind of shows it for visual learners to see the kind of the steps that you take within writing one. So, you know, you've got the identification of your subject, your topic, and your research question, and then duplicate records are removed. And then you look at the records, and then what has been excluded, and all of this should be in your paper as well. So you write about what databases you used, when you used them, and how you searched them. And then you'll, you know, say, oh, well, these were removed for this reason. And then you look at the records, and then these were removed for this reason. So really, it's kind of not only justifying your research, but it's also making it so that it can be repeatable for anybody that wants to repeat your process. Okay. So let's see if we can get back here. Okay. So planning a systematic review. These are questions that you can ask yourself. And just like I talked about a minute ago, these are things that you really want to talk about within your paper. So you've got to think about, where will you search? Are you only using science databases? If you're only using science databases, are you only using like 1 or 2, like Scopus and PubMed? Why did you choose those, you know, specifically? What time frame are you searching within? So are you searching within the last 5 years, the last 10 years? Maybe it's a historical one, and so you want to do from like 1990 to 2000. What keywords you're using. So this is really important to note this down, that with each search that you do in different databases, it has to be the same keywords, the same terms that you're using. Again, you really want to think about, this is going to be repeatable, and anybody that reads this will be able to go to the same database, put in the same keywords, and get mostly the same results. So what subject terms are you looking at, and what will you not search, if anything? So if you're doing something that's like on artificial intelligence, are you not going to search for maybe robots? So you're only looking at artificial intelligence, you know, that doesn't have to do with robotics. And then you would explain, you know, why you're not searching for those things. Okay, so think about the article. So For the basic steps, you're going to, of course, identify your research question. What are you researching? And be really specific about it. You know, you don't want to use broad terms. You want to use things that are really niche to what you're researching. Then you're going to think of what databases am I going to search? And if you're only searching one type of database, which databases within that type? So like humanities or science, or maybe you're doing one that's an interdisciplinary one. Why did you choose that database? And then, of course, you're going to get thousands of results, especially if you're searching different databases using the same phrases. You're going to get thousands of results, which is not a bad thing. That's when you've got to think of filtering. And of course, this is going into your paper as well. You've got to say, well, I'm searching for, as this example says, diabetes, obesity that deals with diabetes, but I'm only searching within 2011 to 2022. And I'm only going to look for peer reviewed, and I'm only going to look for clinical trials. So you're really going to filter down your subject so that, again, it's repeatable and you're getting relevant research. So how does Rayyan come into this? Rayyan is a really great tool for you to be able to kind of create and maintain over time all of the references and citations that you're using for your systematic review. And the cool thing about Rayyan is that it gives you suggested articles for inclusion and exclusion. So it kind of has its own AI brain that tells you, that looks through the articles and says, oh yes, this would probably be an include, this would probably be an exclude. It quickly screens articles and it deletes duplicates, which is really great because if you're searching, you know, a couple of databases, there's going to be some crossover with your with what journal articles are there. It also uses visual cues to really help in the screening, which I really like. And when Cynthia goes into it, she can show you, you know, they have the green for go and the red for stop, which is really nice. And then, like I said, it has that AI. So it has machine learning for recommendations of what to include, what to exclude, for subject terms, where to search and stuff like that. And it's really supportive of collaboration. So usually with a systematic review, you're not doing it by yourself. You have multiple people. And instead of maybe having a shared EndNote folder, Rayyan can really help you with writing down notes on, you know, why you want to include or exclude this. You know, each person has their own ability to say include or exclude. So it's just really more supportive of collaboration than using a stereotypical citation machine or citation manager. So here are some steps to using Rayyan. The first thing always recommend is you just go in and you delete the duplicates. That way you're not, you know, doubling your work. Then you're going to start screening. And this is where the AI comes in. After you've done about 50 or so decisions, it will start screening for you and give you those suggestions on what to include and what to exclude. You've got a filter menu, and you really want to be able to let that do the work for you. And then for use reasons, so reasoning as to what you're including, what you're excluding, why, and with that goes with number 5 to where you can create labels. So you can create labels of, if you're doing obesity within diabetes, maybe you want a label to be a specific age range, and then you would label all of the articles that deal with that age range, and then you can limit it, your search and within Rayyan by those labels. And then, of course, the ratings with the AI, it only works after 50 decisions. But after those 50 decisions, it's really great for it to kind of do the job. And then you go back and you kind of correct what you want. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend you going to this, link. And that's where you'll sign up to use Rayyan. So it could take up to 24 hours. So if you haven't done it before now, don't worry about it. If you think that you're going to be using this a lot, go ahead and sign up so that you can kind of see where we're going. If you have already signed up, go ahead and sign in and we can walk you through that together. So here's what the home screen of Rayyan looks like. So usually it'll have several reviews there, but if you're new, you would just click on that new review to start something. And this is what the working dashboard looks like. So as you can see, the things that have been excluded are in red, and excuse me, the things that are included are in green. And so you can include and exclude certain specific subject terms or keywords. And so over on the side, you can see it says keyword for include, keyword for exclude. So again, with the diabetes and obesity, if you were looking for a specific age range, you would include within the keywords, maybe that age range, and then exclude whatever age range is not something that you want to look at. So say you're looking at obesity in adults, so then maybe a keyword for exclusion would be children or kid or something like that. And the really great thing about Rayyan is that you can upload directly from EndNote. So the library pays for EndNote. So if you don't have an EndNote account, we highly recommend you getting one, but it also supports Mendeley and Zotero. So any of the citation managers work with this. And then you would just upload your exported RIS file, and all of your citations will then be in Rayyan. So it's great that you don't have to have like another step or go find those citations again and then pull them in. You can just use your citation manager, do a big file, and then upload it into Rayyan. And this is what it looks like when the references are first loaded in. So you're not going to see the red or the blue like before because we've made no decisions. So over here on the left-hand side, you'll see inclusion decisions. And so undecided 4,200, and whereas we haven't decided on anything. So you're not going to have that red and blue to start off with, but you are going to have topics here that you can limit your results by. So if you were looking specifically for things that talk about humans, you can limit it by humans, and then you can do decisions on those. And then you can start with looking through your keywords for include and your keywords for exclude. And again, like we said, you have to have 50 decisions for the computer to automatically go through and rank things. But considering that systematic reviews usually have a lot of citations and a lot of articles, 50 isn't going to be all that much, you know, when you think about it. Okay. So that is the end of my little presentation. Does anybody have any questions about systematic reviews, literature reviews, anything like that?
And I did drop the link in so that you could sign up if you haven't signed up for Rayyan. So that link is in the chat. And then let me go ahead and get myself sharing.
Did I unshare or am I still sharing?
I think you're still sharing, but I'm fixing to go and take it anyway. So I think it will be fine.
Say, I think I lost. Oh, there's the meeting. Okay, I finally found it, but there we go. Okay.
Okay, good. And so I'm gonna kind of get myself situated here, maybe. And I'm gonna move my thing down here. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of in a spot where I only have one screen today. I usually use two, so we're going to kind of work with it like this, I think, for a second and see how that works. Okay, everybody. I have just signed in to Rayyan, and then I have some reviews created clearly. I hope that you have signed in now, and then we'll walk through all this information together. I don't want to move too far in if you haven't signed in yet. So I'm going to kind of give you a second, unless everybody can kind of give us a thumbs up that we're all good and ready to move forward. I want to try to make sure we're kind of together. How's everybody doing, maybe?
Okay, we have one chat saying that they are signed in.
Okay. So I kind of will hang around on this page a little bit as we kind of show some of the stuff, and hopefully the rest of y'all can join me. If we start to look at a review, then I'll kind of stop and ask one more time. So this is what your reviews will be built here. You will just have a new review and we'll build that together in just a second. I have a few set up here so that I can use for the workshop today, but I also have other things that are archived, and I can show you that real quick. You can see that it will build. Oh, it's going to ask me to sign in because I signed in before we got going. So let me do that real quick. And oops. Sorry about that, guys. I could have been signing in with you. And here we go. All right. And here we are again. So I'm going to show you the archived ones that I have. And so that's just a few more. But know that if you haven't touched your review, it will be in the archived ones, and you can just show what you need. And if it's archived, you can bring it back just by clicking on one of these. Let me see one that is archived, and I can say restore archive. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to look at my active ones because that's what we have for today. So your reviews will be in this first tab. Then the second tab is anything that is collaborative. So anything that somebody else invites me to, it will live here. If I invite somebody to one of mine, it will still live in my reviews because I own that. So there, I'll show you in just a second. Jenny and I are sharing one, but if she logged into hers, it would be in the collaborative tab because I own it. But since I own it, it will be in my reviews. Now the translation only reviews, you really have to speak another language here, and I am not fluent in anything. I try to dabble in Spanish, but not to the level of research. And so if you are doing translation, you would have one here. I feel like this will probably always be 0 for me. And then these are other reviews. Ryan is really kind of letting people publish work that they want to share with others. You can see there's only 5 here. One thing that they were trying to do is get all the research for COVID. And you can see, look, there's over 100,000 in here. Oh, look, there's like even more than that now. So I don't even know when that's going to close. But you can use this if you want to. They just ask you to make a copy of it and put it in your review, not to make decisions here, so that you can see that. And you can see sometimes they put something in here that maybe just, you know, like somebody accidentally published it publicly because there's only 14 articles. And usually data sets in here are much larger. But feel free to look around here if you want to see those. And I do think they use one of these as training. I think this one, you might look at that one if you just wanted a different view of some training. Okay, I'm going to go back to my reviews, and I hope that we're all ready to get onto the next spot. I'm just going to open one of these, and I will just see the front end of it, and that kind of just gives me some information before we actually get into the review. And you can see it will kind of have some information here for you. But if I wanted to show this and actually get into this review, I would click the show. If I wanted to invite somebody else to collaborate with me here, I would use this tab. If I wanted to archive this, I could do that here. Or this is also where it says to restore the archived one. Or for whatever reason, I wanted to delete it, I could delete that from here. I can see that Jenny is sharing this with me, and I can remove her because I own it. But Jenny couldn't remove herself, so just be aware of that. And then you can see we have the blind off. But once you invite somebody to collaborate with you, you can decide if you're going to have the blind off or you can turn the blind on. And I can show you one other one. I think it's up here. It would look like this if the blind was on. So if a blind is on, that means that your collaborators cannot see what you're doing. So when you're making decisions, then it will, you know, I will only see my decisions, and Jenny would only see her decisions if we had the blind on. and then if we have the blind off, which we have in this one, then Jenny and I can see each other's decision making. And that really is just set up to you however you want to do your research and what you've decided to do for that review. So if you want to work collaboratively, you know, maybe you're working with a team where you're all kind of learning together, then fine, leave the blind off. Maybe you've decided to submit this to something that specifically asks for the review to be in a blind setting. So then you would turn the blind on. And what that would allow you to do is you could make decisions, Jenny could make decisions, and then you could come together at the end and say what was related, or you may make those choices and then pull the information out and then write up the information. And maybe I excluded something and Jenny excluded something, so it never made it together into the paper itself. So just however you've set up your team, it really kind of lets you make that work for you, however you want to do that information. And that's kind of how the kind of helps, because you can kind of decide these things before you get too far into the review and you're like, oh, we didn't even think about that. What, you know, should we have really decided, oh, we want to look at each other's, we don't want to look at each other's, you know, really some different decisions, or even what you would be including and excluding. You really kind of need to have some parameters. But even as you have parameters, sometimes you would want to maybe discuss that as the team if you had the blind off. If you don't, then you would have the just have to kind of make the gut decision on the information that you have. Okay, so now we're sitting here. I hope we're all here. I'm going to go ahead and open one of these so we can see it, but I really hope that you can follow. Well, I know you want to be following me there, but at least you would be on the screen. I'm going to click show, and that will actually take us into the dashboard that we can see. And so here, I'm going to kind of move that down just a little bit so we can see a few more. Let's kind of orientate ourselves to the information here. Jenny and I have been using this set to kind of get it set up for y'all so you can see some different things. Because we have the blind off here, I can see Jenny's label and she could see my label. If we had the blind on, I would only see my own labels. And then you could kind of go through here. Let's kind of look at this side. This panel down here is whatever is highlighted. So if I click on something, then you can see that information below. If I don't, then there would be nothing there. The side panel really allows you to kind of walk through the steps, and we'll do that as we pull in some data together. But it allows you to resolve duplicates or delete duplicates, or look at the ones that you've already looked at, or identify the ones that you've decided that are not duplicates. And then here's your inclusion decisions. So once we've been talking about this, we've said that you have to have 50 decisions made so that it can kind of do the AI processing, where it will help you kind of identify what should be included and what shouldn't be included. So this one, you can see that there's lots of undecided, but there's really only like 11 decisions. And it doesn't matter if it's 50 in excluded or 50 in the included, just anything in here. And so, and then we'll see one of those as we move through this process, where we've already had the AI run, and then you can see what that looks like. What happens once you've made 50 decisions, you can run the computer ratings, and then you will see a rating system over here. And the more stars it gets, of course, the more likely you should include it. The less stars it gets, the less likely you should include it. And we'll look at one of those. And then you can see who's making decisions. And then you can see the keywords. So for whatever reason, if I really just decided I don't want to have placebo in any of the information that we're looking at, I can immediately delete this and it will not pull that included information. Or maybe I really only wanted to be in placebo controlled. So then that would be something else. And then here's some things that are excluded already from what is kind of looking at what I've pulled in and the few decisions that I've made. It's looking at maybe excluding things from mice. So then if I really wanted to look at mice, I would not want that to be excluded. So I would want to delete that. So that's how you can use this side panel. And then as we were looking at that in our PowerPoint, you can see what is pulled in. This is a normal word cloud. So the most things that are in this set is humans. So you can see female and male. You can see middle age. You can see obesity, adults. So you could kind of look around here. Now, if we knew we didn't want animals, that's how we could get rid of the mice if we wanted to. Let's see. Oh, and then we could see where is this research coming from? Maybe we want to only look at US or we only want to look at China. Then we could do that here if we wanted to. And then we can identify the languages too. Now, clearly, I can only speak English, so I would maybe look at only those and take out this is probably Deutsch, which is German and Spanish, Espanol. And so then those are abstracts, and here's the main languages. Here's the English, but I could look at the rest here that we could take out as well. And for whatever reason, if you were really looking at certain publications, maybe you decided to do something very stylized and only look at 5 or 6 journals, and then you could identify that information here as well. So this goes on in the years, whatever you wanted to do. And the more decisions you make, there might be new items added to this side. So you can look around there more because it kind of learns what you're doing and then lets you have a factor of how you can help you do that more easily is what it's trying to do. Okay, if nobody has any questions yet, I'm going to go back here to this all reviews. That will put me back on the page where I was. And then we can go ahead and start looking at a new review. So I thought we could all do that together. I'm just going to click on this new review. And then Rayyan is really young. And so it is really starting to still be built a little things. So if you had any experience with it, this page just changed this summer. So you have to fill out some more information, but I'm just going to label this test and I'm going to label it too because I have another test that I'm going to use as a backup in case my downloading and uploading takes too long. But you label it whatever you want to. You could label it Rayyan Workshop. You could label it test. You could label it whatever you need to, but this is just going to be our one that we create together. And then it's asking me, and these are required now, research field. And so you just use that drop down and you can say not applicable if you're not sure yet, or you can do social sciences, which that's what I do a lot. And Jenny is in the hard sciences, so she might be looking at medicine and human health. So just depends on what you're looking at here. You can identify that. You can do other, and then that allows you to just label it yourself, however you want to do it. So you can just say, my information here, or whatever you want to say. And then you could identify your review type. And we're kind of setting up for a systematic review, but you can see some of the other ones sitting here. You could use this tool for every literature review if you wanted to, if you think it's that useful. But I'm going to just pretend like we're doing a systematic review. And then it's just really doing the larger kind of concept here. And so me mostly would be in social sciences, but you can also pick not applicable if you wanted to. I think I will say social sciences here, although we really will be looking at almost biomedical, I guess, because I thought we might use childhood obesity as our thing. And then if you wanted to describe it, you can say, this is the literature review that I'm doing for X paper, with whoever you were kind of collaborating with or by yourself, whatever. And then that would be what you would want to put in the description. And then I'm going to go ahead and click the button create. And do we have a question or anything? Okay.
No questions so far.
Okay. Thanks, Jenny. Okay, so here we are on the screen that we kind of saw in the PowerPoint, and we can get to some different migration guides. You can tell that these are the supported formats. You can use information from EndNote export or RefManRIS, the RIS, and that's the only one that I use with my EndNote anyway, is that RIS format. It's really a citational format, and most databases allow you to download that option, that format from their databases now. If you happen to be using big text, you can do that. CSV, PubMed, and we'll actually use PubMed today and get that in there. Oh, and the new PubMed format. Okay, so what it's telling us is we were using the XML or the NBIMB, and that's the one I have been using. I wouldn't necessarily call that new, but okay. And then the Web of Science. And most of these will download to RIS format as well. Okay, and then you can also use text or Google Doc if you needed to. I mean, a Google Doc, I'm sorry, a Word doc. And I just don't know how that would really read in there very well. I think it would not be as useful. So be watching about that. Okay, but then you could look at EndNote, or let's go ahead, since we're going to use PubMed, we can click in here. And then for whatever reason, they want you to click the Show Me How in each of these guides. And when you click on that, it opens a new tab. And then most of them are just screenshots where it just really tells you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't know how useful that is, but I can do this in PubMed and we'll walk through it together. I think that really lacks explanation personally, but maybe they'll get some more information. And I'm going to go ahead and close this. So we'll be back in the Rayyan tab. And then I'm going to just get a new tab and open the libraries. I see that I have a libraries tab here. I'm going to grab that really quick. I'm just going to type in library.ttu.edu. If you didn't know that, that will resolve to the main page. I had a bookmark too, but I like so that you all can find it as well. So that's not the same URL that comes up, but it'll work. And then I'm going to kind of scroll down here and get to this databases A to Z. I'm going to click on that because we're trying to find the PubMed database. I'm going to type on PubMed here and click search. And then I'm going to open this. But let's talk about how I came to the library to get to PubMed. I can, as any user of the internet, just type in PubMed and see that. But it wouldn't know that I was affiliated with Texas Tech. And so then it may ask me to pay for articles, or it may block my view of certain articles. And if I come to the library to get PubMed and then do my searching, then it knows that I'm part of the library and then I have privileges. It's part of tech and I have privileges. So I always do this kind of searching. I'm going to click the online access and I'll be in PubMed. Now I hope everybody kind of followed me. And PubMed is a good database to do some basic searching in, especially since that decision from the federal government, any grant information is any grant information funded by the federal government has to have its research published somewhere, and PubMed, it was the database that was chosen to do that. So while it was very much science heavy, it is starting to grow, because that decision was in about 2012, I think now. And so it's been about 10 years that people are putting all their research in here. So a lot more social science for sure. And I bet you humanities is in there as well. Okay, so I'm just going to do my quick search here. I'm going to do the childhood obesity. You can see it sitting there. And then because I'm trying not to have such a large set, because it'll take longer, the more you have, the longer it will take to download. I'm going to do risk factors. And click search again. and that will narrow us down some. We're down to about 4,000. And then I'm going to scoot down and mark 5 years. I always have it set to 5 years. But if you don't, you can mark it here. And if you needed to, you could add the additional filters if the publication date isn't here. I can't quite remember anymore if it is or not. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, so then we're at 5 years. So we still have about 4,000. I was kind of hoping that to be a little bit smaller. I think I'm going to grab this and pull it over to 18. See, what does that get me? Still a little bit, but okay, we're going to go with that. I'm going to actually say click save, and this little window pops up. And so I can select results on all results on this page. All results are just what I've picked. And I'm going to go with the all results. And then I'm going to choose the PubMed format. And then I'm going to choose create a file. And because I'm in Chrome, it's going to download it over here. If you're in Firefox, it's going to be in the upper right corner. Just whatever, wherever your downloads go in your browser, you just kind of need to find that. Now it's going to take mine a little bit longer than if y'all are doing this and y'all are kind of on campus. I have a little bit slower connection out here. So I'm going to go ahead and get back into my Rayyan. And then I want to go ahead and pull that in. So I'm going to click select files. And then I'm going to pull this in. And I just have that extra one because I downloaded it previously just in case we needed it before the workshop started. Then I'm going to click open. And it's going to start identifying that across here if it's going to go at all on my connection. Oh, there it goes a little bit. So that whole bar, this is like the, progress bar of old software, if you remember that anywhere. And so it has to get all the way over here. I'm going to let that work a little bit, but if not, I have one that is already set up in case this didn't process very fast. But maybe this is a good time to kind of check in with y'all. Are y'all all kind of following these steps? Does anybody have a question?
No questions in the chat.
Okay. I was going to say no news is good news, I think. And then if y'all can tell me if you've processed it, then I might jump into my other one just because I know that my connection is not that fast. But if y'all are still waiting, I do know it takes a little while. Because remember, think about it. We're downloading 4,000 citations. Now we're uploading those 4,000 citations. Whoop, there we are. What's happening there? I don't see anything for import from Zotero. Yeah, you're right, Prince. I don't think we have that. Okay, let's redo these steps while I have a few steps. And you're right, Prince. We don't have Zotero in here, but I think what you could do in Zotero is just download into that RIS format that we had seen here, that RIS format, because I know I've used that, and then you could upload that one. If you need help with that at all, Prince, just reach out to me and we can do that. Okay, everyone, let's do those steps one more time while we're looking at that. I went to the library website to find the database. Database is A to Z. I typed in PubMed at the top here, PubMed, hit search. I clicked online access, that opened my PubMed. I typed in childhood obesity risk factors. And then I made sure to limit by 5 years, but then I went ahead and limited it even more to 2018. Just by using the sliding scale, you can drag it around and get it what you want. And that got me down to about 4,000. And then I had to click save. And I chose all the results. And then I chose the PubMed format. And then I created the file that put it down here. Now that does take a second. If you're on a slower connection like me, you may have got kind of hung up there. And then in Rayyan, what you have to do is once you've created your label, you would be on this slide to select favorites. Then you find the file you just saved in your downloads, and you would import that here. Okay. If there's any other questions, you want to unmute and ask something, that's fine too. I wonder if anybody has been successful in getting the tool to okay, load anything up. I don't know if anybody has. I don't want to wait here too long. Do we want me to move on to the other tab that I've got stored? Or are you all waiting still too, do you think? Maybe I'll give it a second longer if they were doing the steps the second way through. We can kind of think about that. Because I think I still have a long time to go.
It looks like it.
We think most people are ready?
Yeah, a couple people said it's okay to move on.
Okay, so I'm going to just, don't follow me here. Y'all stay right here. But I'm going to get my other one that is ready to go. That's really kind of going to mirror y'all mostly. And this one. And I'm going to show that and we'll be ready to go. So this one I only had just under 3,000 pull over, but we can kind of start doing some work here and you'll be able to see that work. And then we'll be able to keep going. All right, so what we've really done is we just created a dashboard and you'll see the working column over here that we had looked at before at one of my older ones. We can see right up here at the top, here's our possible duplicates. That's one of the first things you want to do when you come in is you'll click detect duplicates and it says, oh, we don't want to do that, sorry. I probably have already done that, but you on your set, go ahead and click that. It's going to take it a second and then it will have it set up over here. Once you have it ready to go ahead and click on unresolved. And that's what we're going to be looking at now. I'm going to give you a second for that. Do we have any questions we need to look at? Okay. Okay, so I think that probably took just enough time for you to do your detect duplicates, and then you can also click on your own unresolved, or you can just watch me too, whichever you want to do. Anytime we have this little icon right here, that means that there's a duplicate. You can see we don't have anything selected down here yet. So I'm just going to grab that first one. I'm going to click on it. And so you can see that I might have to pull this up a little bit more so we can see that a little bit, or I might even move out just a little bit. I like my screen kind of zoomed in, but just so that we can see a little bit more. You can see now we have a bar over here where we can scroll up and down. So we need to click on the resolve duplicate. And now we'll have two of the items over here. And we'll see, okay, is that the same title as the one below? So you're just comparing this one to the one that's right below it. Yep, it's the same title. Okay, well, let's see the authors. Is that the same authors? Well, I'm going to look at the other one. Oh, this is not the same author. So while it has the same title, this really is probably a different article. So then I could say here, this is not a duplicate. If it was the same, I could say, yeah, it is a duplicate, and it would have a duplicate option here. Or if I chose for whatever reason, I don't want this, I could delete it. But I'm going to say not a duplicate. And now it's resolved that, and you can see that our unresolved has changed to 8. and it shows that we've increased our resolved. So then I can do the next one, do the same kind of steps, make sure I look at resolve duplicates, look at the title and the authors, and let's see what the title and authors is up here. Oh, this very much looks like it's the duplicate. So I can say, yeah, that is a duplicate. So I would want to pick which one I want to delete. So for that, then I would say, oh, is this citation more complete than the other one? And let's see where the other one is. I'm thinking that they're pretty close. So this one, it doesn't really matter. If you see something, sometimes the abstract won't be there and you would want to delete the one without the abstract. Sometimes you might look for the volume and issue information and see if that information hadn't been filled in one or the other. But see, we can see both have abstracts, both have this information. So it doesn't really matter which one I keep. I just want to delete one. So I'm just going to grab this one and say delete this one. And now look, it's changed the resolve, the unresolved, and we could keep going through that. But let's look at a few other things before we keep moving through that process. You can see that we have the blind is on. You can see that I've excluded some, and I can do that just by clicking on the one. I'm going to go ahead and include this one. Now, remember, I'm making fast choices here in our workshop, but if we were really doing this for research, I'd be having a list of information that I have decided with my collaborators, like what we were talking about in the PowerPoint. What are the keywords that we're looking for? What are the parameters of the setup of the methodology? What are the age group? Whatever it is that we've decided we're going to include, I would have that list, and I would have the exclude list too. So now this one, I'm just going to pretend like I want to include that. So I'm going to say include, and now you can see that my name is in green here. If I clicked exclude, it would be red here. And if I clicked maybe, it would be white. And you might use the maybe if maybe neither one of these had the abstract, or you really needed to see the whole paper to really make a decision instead of just this limited information on what is the deciding factor. Maybe everything comes along and it looks like it's good, but there's something that you're just not quite sure about. You want to read the whole thing. So you could do that. Or in this case, I could see that it was a long study. So maybe this is like a 20-year study. And so I labeled it as a 20-year study. This one, I can see that I labeled it as wrong population. So when I exclude something, I can just click on the reason, and they automatically have these set up for you. And you can see why you would want to add or why you would not want to add. So maybe it's a foreign language, maybe it's the wrong publication type, maybe for whatever reason something came in that was an editor's review or editor's letter as opposed to a real journal article. Or the duration is wrong. And then if we can see that, and then if we want to remove it, we would say wrong population. So those are ones that are built into Rayyan, and the more you use that and tell it why it's what you're choosing to include or exclude it for, will help it understand more. So now I know I wanted to exclude this because it was the wrong population. So it will now learn that information and be like, oh, well, we don't want to look at anything that has this population. So it would know that. But a label is slightly different. It is something that I can add. So I would want to add a new label. Let's say, especially here we're on the wrong one. I can say, maybe because it's only looking at correlates of overweight versus obesity, I can say, I'm just going to add overweight. And I can make this label any label I want to type out. And then I can just click it and it will be a new label. Now I've added a long study one and an overweight one. And so I can use those. Now, Ryan is not using these labels to understand because this is just helping you, but it will use the reasons to help understand because it knows how that information came in. So the things that you're helping it understand is when you include or exclude and labeled the reason. Now let's look at a few other things here. Let's look at this next one. Whenever we see this little icon, that means I've added a note, and I can just pull that up, click here, and say add something else. Let's see if we can see the note in here. Here it is. So my user note, it was added by Cynthia, and I said as a long comment to the rest of the team. Whatever I wanted to add there, I can and put it in. I can delete it if I wanted to. Let's go ahead and create a new note on this next one, and I'm going to type something here. And then click save, and you will see that it has added the note and has put that information at the bottom. So, I mean, as you're digging through quite a few, you may want to add a note for whatever reason. Maybe you're thinking about, oh, I want to make sure that this article is quoted because of whatever reason, or I know that this study, had significant findings in this area, whatever you want to add there. Or you just wanted to make a note that your collaborators could see. And you could say, like, especially if I was not sure, I might put a maybe and say, oh, this is where I was feeling, but I wasn't quite sure. So I wanted to look at the whole article and maybe look at the methodology and see if it really comes through the way we wanted it to in our include and exclude list. So you could maybe make it a note for yourself. I know we all try to do our research as much as possible, but honestly, as you're moving through graduate school, you might really work on this for a little bit, then not work on it for 2 weeks, and then need to pick it up. And if you need notes like that to yourself, you might need to type them in there. Okay. Then you can also upload PDFs. And I think if you have the highlights on, then it will look for things that you want to be looking for. Let me just double check on that. So it is highlighted, the longitudinal is what it's highlighting there. So, yeah. Oh, and survey. So, okay. So now once we've made 50 decisions, and let's look at that. So here we are in the inclusion decisions. We've only made like 5 here, but I'm going to open another set and we can see that. But once you've made 50 decisions, then you could go ahead and run the computer ratings. So we can't do that until we do the 50 decisions, because if I try to do that now, it's just going to tell me, oh, you still need 47 decisions. And that will count down for you, so you could just keep doing it. But let's go ahead and look in another set so we can see what it looks like if somebody has made the decisions. And I think this set has that set on. So let me show that. Yes. And so you can see over here in my decisions, I can still make 76 more decisions, or I've already made, 65 included, 17 excluded, and I ran the computer ratings, and you can see that anything that has not already been decided will have a rating scale out here. So this is right down the middle. This is kind of 50-50. And probably honestly, that was because we were haphazardly looking through stuff in this set, because we were not using it for true review, but just for the workshop. And so let's see if I can see any more. But as you scroll down, you might see something that had 5 stars or 4.5 stars. Then I might just go ahead and click on it and say include. And then let's see, here's some more down here at the bottom that haven't. But if I saw something that only had 1 star, I might go ahead and click on that and exclude. So it is really trying to help you the best it can to once you are giving it some information. And that also helps a lot with the keywords. If you will really narrow your keywords down here, you could do that. You can add a keyword yourself. So if it didn't come through in your set, you just click add keyword and then type in whatever keyword. And let's see what I could use here that might not be so crazy for this set. Let's see if we can say user, maybe user friendly. What if we said that? Whoop, let me see if I can type correctly. Say okay. And then you see, oh, and look, I found 12 that already it identified it. Let's say I want to look at those real quick, like I can just now click on that and it's going to narrow down to that 12. And so, here's the 12 at the top. It's told you the 12 that you're looking at, and you can quickly go through those if you wanted to. Now, the only thing I don't really like about Rayyan is if you don't remember to unhighlight that, it will keep remembering to use the user friendly. And then if you wanted to be like using something as a language, let's see if we have language over here, or year. So now it's only looking for the things that have user friendly and 2021. So sometimes that can be a misnomer, like maybe you've thought, oh, I'm only looking for things for 2021. How come it didn't give me the whole 9? But it really has, because you still have the user friendly highlighted. If I take that off, then we'll have the 9 that it identified from 2021. So just remember to clear the sidebar before you start to look at anything else, before you start doing any kind of selection. And if, let's say, we got in here and we wanted to add something to this, wanted to add more citations, I could do that by clicking on the add, and I'm back on this screen where I can select the files and move through. I'm just going to click back though. You can do that too if you wanted to do anything for exclude. You can exclude the keyword and include that there, or the topics, or the location. Maybe we, for whatever reason, London seems to be pretty big here. I could just look at London. And so I could see the 30 articles that are in London and look at those. So that is basically what you can do here on the desktop. I did want to share with everybody, if you wanted to download, they have an app that works quite nicely. They just kind of rebuilt that app over the summer. It really came out, I guess maybe May or June it came out, and it looks pretty nice. You sign in with the same password after you download the app from your store, either that is the Apple Store or the Android store, and sign in with your username and password that you created today. And then you can see your reviews there. You can open the review. You can make some decisions. And I know people are standing at the grocery store or wherever and reading a little bit of literature and saying yes, no, yes, no. I don't know if that will be me, but if you are able to do that and be productive, then that would be something you might want to do. Rayyan, look, it just has the word Rayyan, and it has a navy background and then Rayyan written across it. So it used to have this little icon that I think that was what they were branding was before, but now they've kind of gone with the navy is what they're really focusing on now. So okay, I think that's mostly what I wanted to talk about. Does anybody have any questions? Are they confused about anything? Anybody want to go over anything that we looked at?
Also, feel free to unmute if you'd like. You don't have to put it in the chat box.
Okay, well, the last thing I would like you to do is to fill out the evaluation. And Jenny, I can't really remember if we have that on our guide or not. No, it doesn't look like it. So let me grab that real quick and I'll
I
drop
got
it in.
it.
Okay, that's how fast Jenny is. And if you'll just fill out that evaluation form, we would really appreciate it. This is one that Jenny and I have kind of just been doing a couple of times now, and we would really like any feedback that you have on it. The workshop, I mean. So. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And then if anybody wants to ask a question kind of face to face, if you will, feel free to do so. If not, that's what we wanted to cover.
Oh, thank you, Edwin. Okay, I'm going to stop